I have absolutely no contact with my parents. I don't talk to them, I don't visit them. To be honest, I'd rather never see them again in my life. This might sound bad, but I do have my reasons. I was kicked out of my parents' house the day after my 18th birthday. My father claimed that an 18-year-old is already an adult, and they should be able to live by themselves. Just a heads up, I was still in high school when that took place. I worked part-time, but I couldn't afford housing. I slept on the streets for about a few weeks until I found a shelter. Not only that, but I had too many rough days after that. The streets are no place for anyone, especially someone that young. Through the help of some NGOs, I managed to finish school, get into a technical course for programming, and get a decent job. Now, 10 years after that, I just graduate college. I saved up to actually do that. However, I can't forgive my parents. I never contacted them, and they didn't contact me. That was until yesterday. Somehow my family, uncle, got my phone contact and sent me a message. My father is extremely sick, and it is likely that he might pass away in the next few days. My uncle told me that my father wanted to see me for a last time and asked if I could go there. I said I would not go. I absolutely resent and bear a grudge against my father and my mother. He kicked me out, and she did absolutely nothing to stop it. As you might assume, my uncle started to get heated and called me heartless, ungrateful, and an idiot, among other things. I'm pretty sure most of my family feels the same way about me. Honestly, I'm only asking here for my sanity's sake. I will not be meeting them, but I understand that the man is dying, and by not going I'm denying something to a dying man, which might make me an idiot. However, even if it does, I do not care. I'd rather be an idiot than see those two ever again. 100% not the idiot. But I'm a bit of a vindictive idiot at times, so I'd visit, just once, to tell your dad that you wanted to check that he's actually dying, and will never forgive him, and that you hope this haunts him until his last breath. Earth-scorched and salted. But you may need therapy if you go this route. In fact, you may need therapy regardless. Good luck, OP, and look after yourself. Not the idiot. What you went through was horrible. As a father myself, I could not imagine turning any of my children out on their own if they needed me. It's simply not something I could ever consider, and you did not deserve this. However, I will say one more thing. I do not know what your father wants to say to you, or how he wants to interact with you if you were to go and see him. He may have realized his mistake and wishes to apologize. Or something completely different. This is the only opportunity you'll ever have to meet with him again. If you do not take this chance now, you'll never know what he wanted, and you'll never have another opportunity. So, consider that. There is no wrong answer here, and you should do what you want to do and what you are comfortable with. Just ensure that you will not regret your decision 20 years in the future. Not the idiot. You have no obligation to that family. They turned you out into the world with no means to support yourself. Everything you've accomplished is because of your own hard work, and in spite of their cruel negligence. Your uncle doesn't get to take the high road here. Where was this uncle when his brother turned you, a child, out into the streets? No one in your family took you in or made your parents accountable for their horrid behavior. They don't get to judge you now when they ignore you and let you suffer alone. The only idiot here are your multiple adult relatives who failed you when you needed their support. Congratulations on turning things around despite such a really difficult start. That took a lot of determination. Ignore the haters. I, 33, and my wife, 31, have 4 kids together. Our oldest is 14 and she has severe eczema that she was born with. She recently started using this soap for her eczema that was prescribed to her doctor. And it's over the counter, but I don't remember the brand. And she has a white towel that she can't share with anyone else as directed by her dermatologist. But my cousin was staying with us for the weekend, and she's 32. She has 2 kids that are 13 and 11. But we had spent the day at the park, so you know all the kids are dirty and sweaty. And they all need a shower. Well, my 3 youngest went first, then my cousin's 11-year-old, then the 13-year-old. My oldest goes to get in the shower, and about 3 minutes later she comes stomping out the back. With her towel, soap and eczema cream in hand. Turns out my cousin's kids used her towel, even though we gave them towels to use. Not only that, but they had poured her soap on the towel and into the sink and toilet. And her eczema cream, which has steroids in it, was rubbed into the towel and their skin and on the mirror and toilet and tub. My daughter is angry, rightfully so, and we're all confused. So we asked all the kids who did it. It wasn't my youngest 3 because they said her stuff was put away in the cabinets like normal, and the actual youngest is 3 years old who gets bathed by her mother and I. So my cousin's kids confessed to having done it, and my wife and daughter are angry. So their mother was just watching us ask all the kids, and I asked her what she was gonna do about them. And she told me they didn't do anything wrong and that they're just kids, and that she doesn't know what I want her to do about it. So I blew up at her and said, your kids are 13 and 11. Not freaking 3 and 1, and for them to do that is horrendous. Not only that, but I expect you to replace what they destroyed. The steroid cream is about $65 and the soap is about $30, while the towel was only about $10. But she got mad and said that I can't expect a single mother to pull $105 out of her pocket like that. I then told her that I didn't care about her being a single mother and told her to take her kids home. And she did leave, albeit angrily. After that I got a couple of angry texts from her mother saying that the kids didn't do anything wrong and that she shouldn't be expected to replace the stuff because she's a single mother. So am I the idiot for making them go home? Edit. She makes decent money and buys expensive things for her kids and herself. So she makes sure they have the newest Air Forces and Jordans. And she makes sure they're walking around with iPhone 13s and AirPod Pros along with herself. But when her kids do this to other people, according to my family, she pulls this crap. And cries that she's a single mother and that it's cruel for us to expect her to pay us back or replace stuff. Not the idiot. The biggest thing is that your cousin thought there was nothing wrong with her kids going through your cabinets and destroying other people's things. If she apologized, spoke to her kids, made them apologize, etc., and then told you she's struggling and can't afford $100, and you could, that'd be a different situation. But she didn't care at all. You shouldn't trust them in your house again. Not the idiot at all. Those kids are more than old enough to understand the concept of respecting other people's belongings. Would that behavior be acceptable at school? Absolutely not. They intentionally vandalized and destroyed someone else's belongings. It's definitely reasonable to expect your sister to replace them. She would be expected to pay for the items if they were destroyed in her home or in a store. Her children are also old enough to help with jobs around the house, yard, to work off what they owe to you and understand that it's a natural consequence of destroying someone else's belongings. She's a single mother. Seems to me she's just single and in the proximity of some kids. I don't see any parenting going on. If you have to get a doctor's appointment to replace the prescription, I know scripts for oral steroids can be a pain, but I don't know if the same is true of topical. Make sure you add that to her total. It'd have greater consequences interpersonally, but you could also make it clear you have no qualms about taking a single mother to small claims court, where she'd have to pay for lawyers and probably be found against. You don't even have to mean it, but it's a decent scare tactic. This all started back in March. My son's best friend turned 13. In his family, 13th birthday is a huge deal. In addition to a massive party, which all 4 of us were invited to, his parents also took him to Disney World. They invited my son to attend as well. My wife was hesitant to consent to this. She said it was unfair to allow our son to go when our 9-year-old daughter can't. Especially since she loves Disney and princesses. I said that our kids won't always have the exact same opportunities, and if we set a precedent here, we'll have to stick to it if and when our daughter gets a similar opportunity. So we'd just be punishing both our children needlessly. My wife reluctantly agreed that we should allow our son to go. I gave our son money to buy his sister souvenirs. He did, and his friend's parents even bought extra stuff for him to give to her. Still, when she saw him come back wearing a Star Wars shirt with the Mickey hat and trading pin lanyard, she burst into tears. My wife later said we made a huge mistake and never should have let him go. I, mistakenly, thought all of that was behind us. Now, we are not well off financially, but my BIL is, and he invited all of us to visit a beach house he rented for a summer send-off. My wife told me she wants to have our son stay with my dad and just take our daughter to even the score. I told my wife that isn't happening. We are their parents. We can't favor one child over the other. Not being invited to the birthday trip of a kid you barely know is in no way comparable to being left out of a family vacation, and I'm shocked she would even suggest such a thing. I refused to allow it. Now my wife is angry, but I don't care. I'm not punishing my son for being lucky. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Die on this hill. You were 100% correct that your kids aren't going to receive the same opportunities in life. Daughter has to learn how to handle situations like this in life, because she's not always going to be treated the same or have the same opportunities as everyone around her, and she needs to learn to handle that with grace. Also, this is your family inviting you, like you said, not a child's friend. Your wife would be excluding your son from his entire family, which is just awful. Let your wife be angry about this. She's completely out of line. What a strange reaction. I wonder what the root of it really is. Not the idiot. You had the right idea by saying yes to your son and showing your daughter that it's not always going to be the same. Plus, you did have him pick up stuff for her. You should have maybe taken your daughter somewhere special while he was away, though. You are also right that you shouldn't punish your son for having friends who will take him to nice places. He should be allowed to come on a family trip. It is clear your wife has a favorite. Your wife is an idiot. Yes, I'm sure it was terribly difficult for your daughter to see your son come home with goodies, but that wasn't your son's fault. She can't favor your daughter just because your daughter wasn't invited to the birthday of a child she isn't friends with. She needs to do better, because this isn't appropriate at all. If she wants to even the score, then she can take your daughter to do something special just for her. She has no right to demand your son doesn't get to be involved in a family vacation. That would send such a heartbreaking message to your son about his mother. I, 24, was poor growing up. We had to rough it throughout my childhood and teenager years. College was funded solely by scholarships and crappy part-time jobs. I don't hold any resentment towards my parents over this, but it was hard at the time. I think I would still be struggling now, had things been different. I met my partner, 31, during my sophomore year, and we've been together for just under 5 years. His family was in the exact opposite financial situation as mine. He has an established position in his father's company. He has since we met, and works remotely. Since my graduation in May, we've spent almost the entire summer with his parents, sightseeing and bouncing around to their different vacation homes. It was such a wonderful experience. I never thought I'd experience something like that, but the adjustment was easier than I expected. As we headed back home this week, we stopped by to visit my parents, 45 and 47. While there, I mentioned that this summer felt like what all the summer breaks of my childhood should have been, and how excited I was for the future when my partner and I have children and can give them this treatment. My mother apparently took incredible offense to what I had said and said they had done the best they could for me as a child. I replied that I never claimed any differently. The argument ended with us still not seeing eye to eye, and my husband and I made an early departure than we had been planning on thanks to the tension in the house that remained. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I was all set for something that towed the line here, but no, you jumped right over decency. Should have been. Is everyone owed that? It'd be nice, but that's not how the world works, and that was an incredibly hurtful thing to say. If you can't see that, you at least need to say the words to your parents. Those were inside thoughts, OP. Not words to be spoken aloud. And not the ones about your kids either. You are the idiot. Look, it's great that you are doing well and be able to provide more materially for your kids in the future, but don't put down your parents for not being able to provide you with more when you were a kid. They did the best they could and provided, probably by working very hard to give you what you had. If a safe and loving environment where you were fed, clothed, and receiving an education isn't good enough for you and you shamed your parents for not taking you around the world, you're an idiot, and an entitled one at that. I grew up poor also and am solidly middle class now. What you did wrong here is show your parents that you believe you were entitled to wealth and privilege your whole life, when they may have been doing everything they possibly could to provide what they did. You said it was what your summers should have been like. Do you hear yourself? Even imagining saying that to my parents makes me feel sick because I know how much it would hurt them. Listen, just because you married a wealthy person doesn't mean you can act like that. I, 39, am a stay-at-home mother of 5 from Arizona. My eldest is my daughter, whom I will call Nina, 19. She dropped out of community college and moved out earlier this year to an apartment in LA to pursue a career involving social media. While I can't say I've been supportive of her life decisions, she knows whatever risks she takes are her choice and on her. Her interest in moving to LA began when she reached, I think, 500K followers on TikTok and 100K followers on Instagram last year. For years, Nina had been trying to gain an internet following for fun, but I've always known it's because she likes attention and controlling people. She's always been that way, for worse or for better. Ever since moving to LA in March, she seems to think she's a full celebrity. As you'll find out, I'm not gonna let her treat me as lesser than just because I'm not part of the fame. In April, Nina texted me saying that she was going to delete her regular email address and asked me to only email her new one for business purposes. Business purposes? Excuse me. If I want to send her videos of my youngers doing gymnastics that have too high a capacity for text messages, I'm gonna send Nina that email. I angrily texted her that this wasn't right and she shouldn't treat me like anything other than family. She reluctantly kept up her email but accused me of being jealous of her supposed fame. Not true. I'm very content with the life I live, the life she used to love. I've never, ever been happier. Anyway, Nina says she still reads my emails but I have no way of knowing if it's actually true because she only responds back via text, texting, or etc. It gets worse. Just last week, Nina texted me saying that she felt uncomfortable in her own home, rented camp apartment, and wanted personal security guards. That's not all. She wanted her dad to pay for them. She does not need her own security system. The only time I know of when she's ever even been recognized from the internet in person is when some child thought she was Daha Cat. In other words, she's never been recognized by somebody from the internet in person. If no one else knows who she is, why should stalkers know? And why would she need my husband to pay for her? She has brand deals with TikTok and makes her own money to pay for her apartment. Plus, real celebrities are rich. My husband was reluctant and almost found a couple security workers in her area, but I stopped him in his tracks. I texted Nina that it was unnecessary and a burdening expense for us. We still have 4 other kids to put through school and college if they don't drop out like her. In response, Nina sent me an especially provocative TikTok video of hers with the caption, "My parents won't help me out, so this is how I make a bag now." I am appalled and disgusted with my daughter. I didn't raise her to be like this, but I feel I did something wrong along the way. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Her bid for personal security sounds like a desire for clout. Real celebrities have bodyguards, so she can play the part better if she does too. If she is ever actually in danger, that would be something to consider, but unless she's actually being stalked or receiving credible threats, I don't think you owe her that. Not the idiot. 500K followers on TikTok is not anything close to celebrity status. I have a friend who has 4.2 million followers on TikTok, and he's not even a celebrity. People go through so many TikToks and follow a lot of people. 500K is just like a pretty big account, but compared to the top people on the platform it's still relatively pretty small. I don't think you did something wrong. No shade, but I think her decision making has been poor and she decided to take a whim and think she can become famous from this dumb thing we like to call social media. I honestly wish Instagram and TikTok never monetized videos and pictures. I've read quite a few things and seen videos of people either dropping their careers or dropping out of school to become an influencer. Crap's dumb in my eyes. World's going in the garbage.